G'day viewers, this is a short but probably fairly important little clip. I'll try to be as brief as I can, and I apologise for the quality of the audio and the video for that matter, and you've got to look at me, so I feel sorry for you. Anyway, this is regard to current events in is it Northern or Eastern Europe. Now, as some of you may be aware, I am an amateur radio enthusiast, as well as a truck driver and all the other BS I carry on with. And it concerns me how some people have been behaving towards ordinary people in both Russia and the Ukraine. I don't care what your political opinions are. Just remember that the vast majority of people anywhere in the world, the last thing that they want is conflict. Also remember that in times of conflict, young men are sent by their countries, whatever country it is, to do their duty, to risk their lives and to either be killed or killed. I mean, that's the reality of it. It's not pleasant. I'm ex-service, I have a bit of an idea. So, either way, they're sent by their countries to do their duty. Unless they are being absolute animals when they're doing their duty, it's not right to treat them badly and with disdain, and worse. There is always a few in every armed service in every country that behave badly. Let's put it that way. I'm trying to be circumspect here. But you can't blame everybody for it. Blame those that do it and not no one else. And just remember also that the people in, ordinary people in Russia are probably being kept in the dark by their government, because as Disraeli said, Desmond Disraeli, and Winston Churchill later paraphrased it thus: in times of conflict, the first casualty is the truth. And every side that's ever been involved in a conflict has always downplayed their losses and exaggerated the losses of the opposition and exaggerated the behaviour of the opposition, and so on and so on and so on it goes. The ordinary citizens by and large don't want anything to do with it, and to be honest should not be held in account for it, particularly in certain autocracies, shall we say. Now, the truth of it all is that in the rest of the world, places like England and France and probably Germany and Holland and Switzerland and America and Australia and New Zealand and wherever, we're not only allowed to protest, we're almost encouraged to protest. It's a lifestyle for us, and it's our way of representing our feelings when whoever's in charge of the show is doing things that we're not happy with. I'm not one that does that very often. However, I am allowed to do it, and I don't risk being disappeared with. The same cannot be said for autocracies. I've seen people say, "Oh, but the Russian people should rise up and do this." Don't be stupid. If you live in a Western nation, you can do this and get away with it. We've seen it happen in America, we've seen it happen in Australia, in Great Britain, all over the shop. You can do it. It's almost enshrined, or some of it, sometimes it is enshrined. But if you've never lived under an autocracy, don't say what the people there should be doing, because you really haven't got a bloody clue. You really haven't got a clue. So please refrain from that sort of bullshit, because that's all it is. Unless you've walked in their shoes, don't open your big mouth, either in text or anywhere else. That's the first thing I'd like to say. When I said earlier that the Russian people, for instance, and probably the people in the Ukraine, they're getting very filtered information from their respective governments. That's what happens in conflict. Whether you like it or not, they're getting very filtered information. However, don't for 1 minute think the rest of us in the rest of the world are actually getting the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. My old father used to say that there's 3 sides to every story. Your side, my side, and somewhere in the middle is the truth. And that applies to most facets of life. And it does here. So don't trust you. Whatever news outlet is your propensity to watch, and all of these so-called experts you get on there, very few of them actually been at the front. I'll be honest, I haven't been called up when I was in the military. I was fortunate. Australia was at peace at the time, but I could have been, and I was prepared to go. And most of these people that are the so-called experts would be if they could be, or they've got an axe to grind or whatever. So I don't really take a lot of it, too seriously. And to be honest, anybody that tells me that they can get in the heads of somebody such as President Putin, or the president in the Ukraine, whose name I have got no hope in the world of saying, if you say you can get into their head, you can't. You're not there. You're not in the circumstances. Don't even pontificate. As for sanctions, do I believe they work? I think they hurt the very people that you need supporting what you believe in. If you believe that there should be no conflict here, well, the sanctions are not really hurting the hierarchy, or a lot of the sanctions aren't, but they are hurting the individual people. If you think they're going to rise up in somewhere like Russia, you've got no hope. That's a full-on thing. So I'm not sure that sanctions at that level are effective. Sanctions against the oligarchy, sanctions against Putin directly, or even sanctions against the Ukrainian leadership, perhaps, if you're that way inclined, may be effective, but I'm pretty darn sure that any other sanctions are only hurting the poor people. That's right, I said the poor people, meaning exactly that, ordinary people. The other thing you should be aware of is there are many, many, many people from the Ukraine in Russia. Can you imagine what they're going through at the moment? And likewise, there are people in the Ukraine who are Russians. You don't think that they're too happy about being involved in this crossfire? So, say a few prayers if you're that way inclined for the for the ordinary people, the cannon fodder and the ordinary people, because they didn't precipitate any of this, and they sure as hell don't deserve it. And I have no solution, but my one solution is that don't treat the ordinary people like pariahs, because they don't deserve it. They really don't deserve it. Thank you.